Anarkul Esenbayeva did not begin with a factory. She did not begin with investors, a marketing team, or a business plan written in perfect language. She began in a village. In Tazma, in the Issyk-Kul region of Kyrgyzstan, where mountains stand quietly in the distance, where herbs and flowers grow close to the earth, and where many women understood hard work long before they understood branding. At first, what Anarkul and the women around her were making did not look like a business. It looked too small. A few women, a few local plants, a few handmade bars of soap, and many people asking the same question: why would anyone buy this? The answer took years, and it began with one Japanese idea. The idea was called one village, one product. It was simple enough for anyone to understand, but difficult enough that most people never practice it properly. Do not begin by asking what you do not have. Begin by asking what your village already holds. Do not copy what another town is selling. Look at your own soil, your own hands, your own knowledge, your own plants, your own wool, your own fruit, your own traditions. Then choose one thing. Improve it. Package it. Protect its quality. And show the world why it matters. For Anarkul, that one thing was not hidden in a foreign market. It was growing around her. Herbs, flowers, natural ingredients people had known for generations. Things that women in the village had seen, touched, collected, dried, boiled, mixed, and used in ordinary life. But ordinary things are often the hardest to respect. Because when something is too close to you, you stop seeing its value. A city visitor may look at mountain herbs and see purity. A tourist may look at handmade soap and see authenticity. A shop may look at local flowers and see a natural product. But the person living beside them may only see what has always been there. That was the first problem Anarkul faced. Not production, not even selling, belief. People came and asked what the women were doing. Some were curious. Some were doubtful. Some probably saw the work and thought it would not last. Because in the beginning, most new work looks weak. A handmade soap business does not arrive with loud success. It begins with wet hands, tired backs, mistakes in texture, uneven shape, uncertain smell, and the slow learning of what customers will actually trust. The women of Bugu Ane were not just making soap. They were learning how to turn local knowledge into a product. And that is much harder than it sounds. Anyone can make something once. A business must make it again, and again, and again. The same quality, the same care, the same promise. Every bar of soap had to answer a silent question. Why should someone choose this? In the early days, Anarkul and the women did not have the digital tools they would later learn. They sold manually, from person to person, from house to house, explaining again and again what the soap was, why herbs mattered, why natural ingredients were useful, why a handmade product from a small village deserved attention. This is the part of every success story people skip. Before customers believe you, you must repeat yourself so many times that even you begin to feel tired of your own explanation. But that repetition is not failure. It is training. Each confused customer teaches you where your message is weak. Each rejected sale teaches you what people do not understand yet. Each small order proves that the idea is not dead. It simply needs to become clearer. This is where the Japanese rule mattered. one village, one product, is not only about making something local. It is about improving it until the local thing becomes strong enough to leave the village without losing its soul. The product must carry the place inside it, not as decoration, as identity. For Bugu Ene, the identity was clear. Soap from Tasma, made from herbs and flowers, created by women who were trying to build income from what their own region already gave them. That sounds simple now, but simple things become powerful only after someone survives the years when nobody understands them. 14 or 15 years ago, Anarkul said, it was hard to explain the value of these products. People did not immediately understand. They did not immediately trust. The market for eco-products had not yet become what it is now. Today, many people hear the words natural, handmade, herbal, eco-friendly, and they immediately feel interest. But at the beginning, those same words often sounded strange. Too small, too old-fashioned, too uncertain. The women kept working anyway, and slowly, something began to change. Not all at once, not like a movie. A neighbor understood, then another. A visitor became curious. A customer returned. A new woman joined. The work gained shape. Then came another lesson. Making the product was only half the business. A good product hidden in a village is still hidden. This is the painful truth many hardworking people learn too late. They believe that if the product is good, people will somehow find it. But the world is noisy. Quality matters, but quality alone does not knock on doors. Someone must tell the story. Someone must show the process. Someone must explain why the product exists. Someone must make the customer feel the human hands behind it. For years, the women had worked with their hands. Then they had to learn to work with visibility. Through the Sanarip Insan project, Anarkul and others learned digital skills. How to make content. How to show their products online. How to use social media. How to sell without spending all day walking from one house to another. This was not just a technical change. It was a dignity change. Because when a woman spends all her time trying to sell one bar of soap, she has less time to improve the soap itself. But when orders begin coming through social media, when customers call, when people message, when the product can travel through images and words, something opens. Time returns. Energy returns. Confidence returns. Anarkul said that after learning these digital methods, requests, calls, and orders increased. The team even hired an SMM specialist. Think about that journey. From village women explaining handmade soap, door to door, to a rural brand using social media, content, advertising, and digital sales. The herbs did not change. The flowers did not change. The mountains did not move. What changed was the system around them. And that is often the difference between poverty and possibility. Not talent, not effort, not even resources. A system. A way to turn what people already know into something the market can understand. Bugu Ene eventually began producing 10 types of soap. Foreign tourists started visiting to see the process for themselves, from collecting herbs to producing the final soap. That is when an ordinary local product becomes something more. It becomes an experience. People are no longer buying only soap. They are buying the story of a place. The smell of mountain plants. The patience of women working together. The proof that something small can be made carefully enough to matter. And this is where the real lesson begins. Most people think opportunity is somewhere else. In another city, another country, another language, another education, another family, another age. Another version of themselves that somehow has more confidence, more money, and more permission. But the Japanese rule says the opposite. Look closer. What is already here? What does your village know? What does your village know? What skill has been treated as ordinary only because women have done it quietly for years? What local thing have you stopped respecting because you have seen it all your life? This is not only a business lesson. It is a life lesson. Many people are poor, not because they own nothing, but because they have never been taught how to see what they own. They have herbs, but no brand. Skill, but no system. Stories, but no packaging. Work, but no market. Experience, but no confidence. One village, one product, does not magically create value from nothing. It teaches people to recognize value that was already waiting. That is why Anarkul's story matters. Because she did not turn into someone else. She did not abandon her village to become successful. She did not need to pretend that handmade work was modern by erasing its roots. She built from the roots, and the product became stronger because of them. At the end of the story, Anarkul's message to other women is simple. Do not be afraid to begin. Join communities. Look for projects. Gain new knowledge. Study. Become economically independent. Not because independence makes life easy, but because it gives a woman something she may have been denied for too long. Choice. The choice to earn. The choice to learn. The choice to improve. The choice to stand in front of her own work and say, "This has value." There is a quiet kind of wealth in that sentence. Not loud wealth. Not loud wealth. Not the kind that tries to impress strangers. A quieter wealth. The wealth of seeing your own hands differently. The wealth of knowing your village still has something to give. The wealth of women gathering around a table, not waiting for permission, but learning one improvement at a time. Some people saw only herbs. Some saw only flowers. Some saw only village women making soap. But Anarkul and the women of Bugu learned to see a product, a brand, a skill, a business, and a future. The Japanese rule did not bring value to Tasma. The value was already there. The rule simply taught them how to see it, shape it, and share it. And maybe that is the lesson for all of us. Sometimes the thing that can change your life is not far away. It may already be in your kitchen, in your garden, in your memory, in the work your mother did quietly, in the skill your village never thought to name, in the small thing everyone walks past. Anarkul's story reminds us that wealth does not always begin with more. Sometimes it begins with looking again at what was already in your hands.